year, and it can save you a very large amount of money. So it's important. Filling out a FAFSA is a graduation requirement in the state of Illinois. So everybody must sit through a financial aid seminar before they decide if they want to fill it out or if they want to fill out a waiver. So the people that can fill out a waiver are any kids deciding not to go to college next year, or if your family just is not comfortable filling out a FAFSA, okay? Julie Durkin is here. She works at the financial aid office at NCC. The FAFSA form is the same no matter where you're going to school, so she knows about how to fill it out. And the FAFSA is changing this year. It's not coming out until December, and your parents will have to help you. So, Ms. Durkin is going to give you some fast facts about financial aid and what it is, so please give her your attention. Thank you.
Hi everyone, as Kim said, my name is Julie Durkin. I am from McHenry County College. I'm one of the financial aid specialists there. And today we're going to talk about the FAFSA and all things financial aid. I know it's not the most fun topic, not the most interesting, but it's very important, so try to take in everything that I'm talking about today. So I'm going to go over on this side a little bit. Okay, so what is financial aid? Pretty much financial aid is going to be divided into two main sections. There's two main types. There's gift aid, which is grants and scholarships, which we'll go more into, as well as self-help, which is considered loans and work study. So the definition of financial aid is funds provided to students and families to help pay for post-secondary educational expenses. When we talk about self-help, we're talking about work study and loans, like I said. So work study is when you get a job at whatever school you're attending. So in between classes, you can get a job on campus. That way you don't have to travel somewhere else in between classes. You can stay right there. Work on campus, you can use those funds that you make however you like. You can set aside a portion to help pay for your tuition. A lot of schools will do that as well. So loans are borrowed money that you do have to pay back with interest. There's two types of loans that you can get by applying for the FAFSA. Those two types of loans are subsidized loan and unsubsidized loan. You're going to hear that a lot when you're filling out the FAFSA. So there's public loans, those are the subsidized and unsubsidized that I talked about. The main difference between the two is that the subsidized loan does not accrue interest while you're in school. It's a need-based loan, whereas the unsubsidized loan starts accruing interest right away once you start school. Both need to be paid back, so 6 months after you graduate or you leave school, you're going to start having to make payments on those student loans. You can also get student loans if you're needing maybe a little bit more than what you're offered through the FAFSA. You can apply for a private loan. There's a lot of loans that have low interest rates. You might hear about a Discover loan or a Sallie Mae. Those are the ones that we see that have the lowest interest rate. The direct loans from the FAFSA are going to have the lowest interest rate. So you're going to want to take those out first before trying to go to a private loan. These loans are in your name, so they're not in your parents' name. They're going to be in your name, so you're responsible for paying those back. You'll do what's called an entrance counseling if you're taking out a student loan. That's going to explain everything that means. You're agreeing to pay it back and all of that. Now I'll talk about the gift aid, which is the fun stuff, because that's all the grants and scholarships that you don't have to pay back. It's just free money that you get to use for your education, for tuition, expenses, everything. So, don't have to pay it back. You're applying for the Pell Grant and the Illinois MAP Grant if you're attending an Illinois institution. The Pell Grant is anywhere, but if you're going to school in Illinois, you're applying for the Illinois MAP Grant as well. We also have an application that's called the alternative application. So it's basically the same thing as the FAFSA, except it's for students that don't have a social security number. So if a student doesn't have a social security number, we'll point them to the alternative application, which is applying for the Illinois MAP grant. You're not eligible for Pell, but you are eligible for that state grant. There's also other sources for grants. Illinois has a lot of grants based on your major, so maybe if you're looking into education, there's a lot of grants right now for that, as well as nursing, paramedics, all of that. So look into what you're studying and see if there's any scholarships or grants available. Veteran benefits as well, if you have a parent that's served or is serving, that's something to look into. Every financial aid office everywhere is gonna have a veteran benefits specialist, so they'll be able to help you walk through that process. Right now is a great time to start looking for those scholarships if you haven't started already for next fall, 2024. So start looking for those scholarships locally through your job. A lot of businesses do offer college scholarships to their employees, so it doesn't hurt to ask to see if anything is available. A lot of schools also do offer merit-based scholarships, so that is going to be based on your grades on your transcript from high school. So you can receive a bunch of different kinds of merit-based scholarships. At MCC we have a bunch. There's one scholarship application that you fill out, and that application is basically pushing out and seeing if you're eligible for over 500 scholarships. So it's one application for 500 scholarships. Involvement, so if you're looking to go into the arts, theater, something like that, or sports, schools do offer, not all, but some do offer like tuition waivers or an athletic or art scholarship. Here's some sources where you can start looking for those scholarships. If you are just searching Google, I tell people to literally search on Google scholarships offered near me or scholarship applications. Just make sure you're not paying for any applications. You shouldn't have to pay for a scholarship application. Business and organizations, local philanthropy, and when can you start winning the scholarship? Right now. So as seniors, you guys can start filling out those applications and actually receiving scholarships. So if you receive a scholarship check, just hold on to that, and then when you're about to start school, you can bring that to your financial aid office. Some of those scholarships, like the merit-based in the sports, might be every year you'll receive the same thing. It might be different every semester. You'll just have to see what those scholarship rules are. In a lot of the merit-based scholarships, you have to keep getting good grades, so there might be a GPA requirement. I talked about the Pell Grant and the MAP Grant. Those are the grants that you don't have to pay back. So again, Pell is federal, so that's going to be at any school you go to. If you're going out of state, you could be eligible for that. The MAP Grant is only if you live in Illinois and you're attending an Illinois institution. To be eligible for that, your parent has to be residing in Illinois. So just some more information on that. The alternative application, again, you're not eligible for the Pell Grant, but you're going to be eligible for that Illinois MAP Grant if you are going to an Illinois school. All right, so these are the two. You can use both websites to do the FAFSA application. So as you might know, the FAFSA application is pushed back a little bit this year because they're completely revamping it. It's called the FAFSA simplification process. So it should be a lot easier for you and your parents to fill out that FAFSA. I know before it can seem a little daunting, but there's going to be less questions. It's going to be easier to transfer information. But it's going to be available a little bit later. So right now, sometime in December, you're going to want to look out for that. We don't know the exact date yet, but it has to be out by January 1st. So You can go ahead and set up your username and password. Right now, you can log on and do that today, tomorrow. I'd suggest that so when you actually go on to do the FAFSA, you can just go ahead and get started and submit it. So you can go on today, create that username and password. Your parent also has to create a username and password. So both of you have to create a username and password because you both have to electronically sign the FAFSA through your own account. It's not going to let you sign for your parent on your account, so that's the reason why. You're going to have to apply for the FAFSA every year, so every year you're in school, even though this year it's pushed back to December the following year, so for 25-26, it'll come out on that October 1st date again. So it's just this year that it's pushed back a little bit because they're changing everything. You can edit your FAFSA after you submit, so I know sometimes maybe you're like, oh, I don't know this right now. You can go ahead and submit it and then go back when you have all the information you need and edit it so it's not set in stone right when you submit it. To be determined for that 24-25, so either December or after January 1st. If you are graduating early for whatever reason in December and starting school in the spring, you can fill out the 23-24 FAFSA that's available right now. So if you're starting in the spring or the summer, you're going to want to fill out that 23-24 FAFSA. You can go ahead and do it right now. Something I also want to bring up here, since we're talking about parent information and everything. So all schools are going to have an information release. It's called the FERPA. So if you have a parent that's calling your school asking about the financial aid information, they have to have this form, the FERPA, filled out in order for us to give information to them. So if your parent calls and is asking about if we have your FAFSA, we can't tell them unless we have that information release. And that's going to be at any school you attend. So you can choose what kind of information you want released to them. So if you only want financial aid, you don't want them to see your grades, or enrollment activity or anything like that, you can pick and choose of what you want to release to them. These are some common questions that students and parents have while filling out the FAFSA. So which parent's income do I use? So if your parents are married, you're going to use both their information. You're going to use their income information. And then if your parents are separated, divorced, you'll fill out the parent that you are living with the most, that's providing for you the most, and step parent as well. So you do have to include that step parent if your parent is remarried. What if my parents filed joint taxes and are now divorced? So this is important because the FAFSA information will collect taxes from 2 years prior. So it's kind of weird, but for the year you're filling out, you're gonna add 2022 taxes. So the year from 2022, that's the income information you're gonna fill out for yourself and your parent. If you didn't work in 2022, then there's an option for you to select, I didn't file taxes. So you just select that. What if the student has a social security number but their parents do not? So as long as the student has a social security number, they can go ahead and fill out the FAFSA. The only difference is that when it's time to enter the parent's social security number, you would just enter all zeros for that and it'll still process. You will have to print a signature page and mail it in. That's the only difference. They won't be able to electronically sign, but you'll still be able to submit that. This is gonna look, I'm assuming it's going to look a lot different as they're revamping the FAFSA, but I believe that they'll still have sections that'll explain which information you're putting. So make sure when you're filling out the FAFSA that you're not putting your parents' income for yourself. I've seen it, a lot of students accidentally will do that, and that will kind of mess up things, right? So make sure you're putting your information where it says student information and your parents when it's time for that. There'll also be areas where you can kind of hover over if you see those question marks. If you're like, what exactly is this asking for? I'm not really sure. It'll go into a deeper description of what's needed there. This is all the main information that you're going to need when you sit down with your parent to fill out the FAFSA. So demographic information, social security number or alien registration number, parent and student income from 2 years ago. So again, for the year 24-25, if you're starting next fall, that's going to be the 2022 income information. If there's been a change in job since then, or maybe the income is significantly lower for some reason, you'll still put the income information from 2022. Later on, you'll work with that school, whatever school you're going to, and we can actually go in and adjust the income information if there's been a change. Your parents will also need untaxed income and investment information. So these are the two things that are going to be, that they're changing a lot with the FAFSA process. So for right now, just have that information ready to go in case you need it, but you might not need it. School choices, you're going to be able to put up to 20 schools on your FAFSA. So I don't recommend paying for 20 different applications for schools trying to get a free waiver code or something similar to that, but it used to be you could only put 10, but now you can put 20. So one application for 20 schools, you don't have to fill it out 20 different times. You can just go ahead and submit it and it'll get sent everywhere you're applying to. You'll also need your birth dates and marriage and divorce dates. Here's some more information about the alternative application. It is a different website, so it's that isac.org/alternative application. So I know none of you have completed your FAFSA yet for next year, but what happens when you complete your FAFSA? So it's going to take about 10 days for your FAFSA to get to the schools that you're sending to, 10 business days. And if you submit it right away in December, it might not be right away that you hear back from your school. Schools all will start awarding and looking at FAFSAs at different times. This year, since it's later, I know MCC will probably start awarding and bringing in FAFSAs around April or May. So if you don't hear right away, don't worry. We're probably just pushing back that process a little bit. Your school should send you an email with your award letter, so letting you know if you're eligible for that Pell Grant, loans, the MAP grant, any scholarships that you've been awarded, and as well as your charges and everything like that. Here are all the websites. Right here it has a student aid, but you can also use that FAFSA website that was on the earlier slide. isac.org is where that alternative application is, or if you want to learn a little bit more about the MAP grant, you can find information there as well. If when the FAFSA comes out, you're having problems, you're having an issue filling it out, all the counselors and specialists at MCC are ready to help anytime. You don't need an appointment to come in. So even if you're not attending MCC, we're here to help the community, so come on in. We can sit down and actually go through the process if need be. All right, I know it's a lot of information. Do we have any questions? And if you have anything else that is maybe a little more private, I'll hang out here and we can talk one-on-one. Any questions?
So my last announcement is after you complete your FAFSA, sometimes you'll get an email with an estimate of your financial aid offer, and a lot of kids think that's their financial aid offer. That is not it. You have to log in to every college you attended and look at what they offered you, because you will have to accept it or decline it. So if you applied to 10 schools, you should get 10 FAFSA award letters, okay? Does that make sense? And it could take months before you see the results. So it's not gonna be right away, okay? Any questions? We'll stay down here. Other than that, I guess you could probably hang out in the cafeteria.